He's probably one of the least heralded recruits to ever matter at Georgia. I'm talking about Lad McConkey, and I want to compare him directly to two guys from about 20 years ago, David Pollock and Thomas Davis. And those two guys came on board at Georgia at a time when recruiting wasn't like it is today. There's so much more information now than there ever was back then. I mean, Thomas Davis wound up at Georgia because Brian Van Gorder and company saw him play a basketball game. They'd heard about him, but when Thomas came on board, he was not heard of. And David Pollock was not a high-level recruit either. And it's, you look at both those guys being first-round guys, Thomas being 15-year vet in the NFL. I mean, David would have been in there for a while too had he not gotten hurt. And, this past week, Lad McConkey was named the Freshman of the Week for the league. And, he had a big game against Auburn. There's no question about that. 5 catches, 135 yards, and a touchdown. And that 60-yarder was a great throw from Stetson. But Lad set that up at the line of scrimmage, and then he was gone. And, when you hear about undersized guys, a lot you hear about how hard they work and all this stuff, and that I don't doubt that. But his level of skill is a little bit undervalued, I think, and he's difficult to deal with. I guess I'm going to go back right now and look at how many games he started. I know he started against Clemson, and that he would be your starting, one of your starting receivers in that colossal of a game really tells you what he did leading up to that, moment. McConkey right now is the number 2 receiver at Georgia behind another true freshman, Brock Bowers. Well, when you're comparing the two guys, because Lad McConkey is quite small compared to Brock Bowers, most people are. You don't hear the same stuff that people say about Brock Bowers that you do with Lad McConkey. But the point at the end of the day is that McConkey is a hard person to deal with, a little, kind of jitterbug guy that can take you deep. Like, he's not easy to deal with and catch up with. And it makes me think of Thomas, and it makes me think of David. And, it took David about a season to get really going, and then from the South Carolina game on, he was unstoppable at Georgia. He was pretty good his freshman year, but he was playing inside more. Lad McConkey in his first year at Georgia redshirted. He may have run out there for a play or two, but I don't think it was for any meaningful time. But he started in 4 games, Lad McConkey: the Clemson game, Vandy, Arkansas, and Auburn. And I would suspect, even when guys return, he's probably going to still start. Now, not every game, but just hard to deal with. And recruiting has changed so much that it's not surprising that someone of Lad McConkey's sort of stature would not get highly recruited. It does surprise me that this is even the wrong way to put it, that he fell through the cracks to play for the number 1 team in the country. I mean, first of all, he belongs at Georgia, clearly. And secondly, it escapes me how so many people passed on him. I know he's small. He is small, and I have a size prejudice for sure. And when you're 6'4", 240, 250 or whatever, you can have a size prejudice. I can understand that. But everybody isn't made the same way. Everybody isn't pretty coming off the bus. But with McConkey, the speed is a real problem. And I just would love to see what it's going to be like for Georgia when they've got all of their receivers in these games. I mean, George Pickens is still the best receiver on this team. But they're not missing him as much as I thought they would. And Bowers has clearly replaced what I thought. What he's doing is what I thought Eric Gilbert would be doing. It really speaks to how well Georgia has recruited to their situation. And McConkey, you started hearing about it a little bit in the spring this past year. He was extremely productive. 3,000 yards playing quarterback, running back, and return game. That's a lot of production. But ESPN rated him the number 18 receiver in the state. That's just not true. And they're just not very good. I know that's not kind of what they do, is recruiting on the state level. But he escaped a lot of people's radar, but not Georgia's. And, it does speak to the time we're in, that someone like Lab McConkey can be as dangerous as he is playing college football, and yet nearly he was playing at a level of college that would be really beneath him. Can he play in the NFL? Yeah, looks like it to me. I mean, I don't see why not. In fact, I mean, he could certainly be a first 5-round guy, first 4-round guy. I mean, he's dangerous. He is not a lot of fun to deal with. And we've probably only seen the beginning with this guy. I mean, I'm trying to remember with the Vanderbilt play. He had that catch from JT. I think he had a reverse for a touchdown. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. He's got 16 catches for 280 yards. And then just really played well against Auburn. He had the most catches against Auburn, had the most catches against Arkansas. He had a receiving and a rushing touchdown on back-to-back drives against Vanderbilt. 62 yards and 4 catches against Vanderbilt. A couple punt returns. One of them was almost a 20-yard return. He had 2 catches against Clemson in a night where Georgia didn't throw very much. What would this guy be like in a more, progressive, so to speak, offense, a more offensively, a passing attack, more what you'd see, what we thought we were getting ready to see in college football. But I've got nothing but good stuff to say about Lab McConkey, and I wouldn't over celebrate the work ethic. Yeah, he does. I mean, they're not making that up, and I believe Kirby and the staff when they say that, but it's not just that. He's talented. Stetson Bennett is talented, but I think there's, when you're an undersized player from a small school in rural Georgia, people aren't going to take you as seriously. And I, having lived in the .com world for 15 years of my 20 years of covering, that totally happens. It happened to Todd Gurley. And the game changed after people saw Todd. They didn't think a back could be that big. He also played safety his junior year, not his, he wasn't a full-time running back. So, but he was isolated in Tarboro. Tarboro is not near anything. It's way out there in North Carolina. And also, too, guys, they got to be the right fit for their school. And, that's what's happened with Lab McConkey at Georgia. He has found a home, and he is dangerous. He totally could be an all-SEC player at Georgia, and I do not at all think that it's out of the question that he gets drafted in the first 5 rounds of the NFL draft. We'll see you over on the website, dogpost.com.